So welcome to our March webinar, celebrating the send-off and supporting the transition, making students' next steps a success. My name is Mitzi Holland, and I'm the director of the Kentucky Advising Academy. And we have several guests here with us today who are going to share great information on how you can support students in their next steps. And we all know how important the transition is. So as folks are joining, if you would in the chat, just drop your name, your title, and the school or organization that you're representing. And then just for fun, if you were to write a biography, what would you title your biography? So if you just want to drop that in the chat, we will go ahead and get started. So today we will do just a quick overview of the Kentucky Advising Academy. Then I will turn it over to Rebecca Smith, who is going to share with you information about early childhood apprenticeships. And then we will have a panel discussion about celebrating the send-off and supporting the transition. And we have joining us Leslie Slaughter from Spencer County, Laura Carter from Allen County, Scottsville, and Sandra Hancock from Christian County School District. We will share then KAA resources, talk to you about how you can stay connected. And then finally, we will share an evaluation, and that is how you will get your ELA credit. So make sure you stay with us to the end and you complete that evaluation if you need your ELA. So quickly, if you are not familiar with the Kentucky Advising Academy, we work to support Kentucky educators serving in advising roles. And we do this by helping connect them to the resources and the things that they need to support students as they transition from high school to their desired career. And we do this mainly through professional learning opportunities, creating resources such as the Post-Secondary Advising Toolkit, Post-Secondary Advising Framework, and then finally facilitating collaboration and partnerships between secondary schools and post-secondary institutions and employers. So again, we are so glad that you all are here with us today. And I would like to introduce Ms. Rebecca Smith, and she is the Apprenticeship Director from the Governor's Office of Early Childhood. And she is here to talk to us about early childhood apprenticeships. And Rebecca, before you start your presentation, if you could give us just a little bit of background about your career, just a brief bio, that would be great. I am going to stop sharing my screen and give you the opportunity to share yours.
Thank you very much. See if I can you all see my screen? Oh, I forgot to hit the share button. I'm usually a Teams girl, so sometimes when I get on Zoom, I struggle a little bit. So my name is Rebecca Smith, and I work for the Governor's Office of Early Childhood, and my title is the Apprenticeship Director. So I have spent many years of my career working directly in early childhood education, in child care centers, private child care centers, things of that nature. And I have been, I did that since I was 19 years old, and I have been in this role for about 2 years now. Just to tell you a little bit about early childhood apprenticeship, it is very new. It is a very new concept, and every day we are working to adjust and change and develop what early childhood apprenticeships look like. So I'm really excited to be here today to share with you about the early childhood apprenticeships and what they mean. I have spent my time in the office working with the Office of Employer Apprenticeship to create, to revamp this program, and we're really excited about the product and that we have come out with. So just to tell you a little bit about what registered apprenticeship is. Basically, registered apprenticeship is an officially recognized education and training model that is endorsed by the Federal Department of Labor. So what that means for you all is if you were to have a student who wanted to come into the early childhood education field, they could do an apprenticeship and then come out with what's called a journey worker credential. And the journey worker credential is a nationally recognized credential for early childhood education. So there are 5 parts to our registered apprenticeship. One of them is on the job training. So that's the time that they actually work in the field. There's related technical instruction, and that is going to be time that they're in the classroom. There is a mentorship that is part of our registered apprenticeship, which basically means that they have somebody who has been deemed knowledgeable in the field as a journey worker, or who would have the same level of understanding that could teach the apprentice as they go through this program. There also is a required wage progression that goes along with registered apprenticeship, and then of course the national certification. So we actually have 3 different occupations that are part of our registered apprenticeship, and one of them is a youth option. So I want to kind of tell you how these all can work for the students. Oh, sorry. This is our recruitment PowerPoint. So there's some things that I'm going to skip through just for time's sake. But so the way the registered apprenticeship works is we are the apprenticeship sponsor, the Kentucky Governor's Office of Early Childhood. We have the 3 supportive occupations, which is the child care development specialist. The child care development specialist is the one that has a youth option available.
Yes.
So the child development specialist would be the one that if you have students who are currently in high school and are looking for an early childhood pathway, they could co-op, they could earn while they learn, and come out with a career to start in early childhood and move up through the registered apprenticeship program. Then we have the early childhood educator. This one can be stacked on top of the child care development specialist once they come out of school. The child care development specialist can be done after they graduate, or they can start before, depending on what the high school has available as far as pathways, as far as track, those sorts of things. And then they can move into the early childhood educator if they want to after they finish the child care development specialist. And then we also have an early childhood administrator director. This one also is buildable upon the other 2. There are qualifications that they have to do the early childhood administrator director, but it is a high quality training program that includes the business of running a child care, how to, if that's something that they wanted to potentially do. It talks about hiring, it talks about, social skills for parents. It talks about, all kinds of different stuff that actually only deal with running the child care center. So anybody who participates in our apprenticeship program does have to have an employer partner. So the registered apprenticeship is an earn while you learn model. So they do have to be employed in an early childhood setting in order to participate in this registered apprenticeship. And they do have to be paid wages by the employer. And then our office right now is offering we call it the WEMA program. It's the Wage Increase and Milestone Achievement Award. And so with this, we are offering the apprentice can get milestone bonuses as they go through their apprenticeship. They can get the mentor can receive funding. The employer can also receive funding. And then we also support the funding for them to receive up to a $2 an hour raise through their program. So this registered apprenticeship can work with a child care center and a Head Start or a public preschool, someone who wanted to be like a para educator or something along those lines. So we have a lot of options. Early childhood registered apprenticeship can be very complicated, so I don't want to put too much on your plates because it's not easy to explain in 10 minutes. But I'm happy to set up individual meetings to talk to anybody, to give them more information, to talk individually with people who are interested in the apprenticeship. So I'm going to put my information into the chat box. And that way, if anybody has any questions or if they would like to know more about the program, they can reach out to me and I can set up an individual meeting. Um, I think that that is all I have unless anybody has any right now questions.
That's what I was going to say, Rebecca. We do have a few minutes. If anybody does have a question
Yeah.
right now for Rebecca, um, she will have to hop off here and attend another meeting. So if you do think of something, you can put those in the chat and we will certainly get those to her. But if you do have something right now, feel free to drop it in the chat or unmute yourself and just ask right now.
I also put up on the screen the requirements for what the employer would need, what the apprentice would need, and what the mentor would need. So this is a great program, especially if you have an early childhood pathway or track program within the school, or if you have students who already work in child care centers, this would be a great program to get them into because it makes sure that they get the certifications that they need. With our program, it doesn't only get them the journey worker credential, but they can also work towards their 4Cs, they can work towards their CDAs, their director's credentials, all of those sorts of things. So those are all kind of built into the program, and then they're getting this additional certificate. Right now, our office is currently working on building the early childhood career pathways for early childhood education, and the apprenticeships are going to be part of the new career pathways that we are developing. So as they move forward in their career, there is a lot of options for them to see how to move through our career pathway with the registered apprenticeship program. So we're really excited about that coming up.
Awesome. Lots of great information, excuse me, lots of great information shared. And if you're like me, sometimes you have to process this before you can think of the questions. So again, feel free to drop those in the chat. We will capture the questions. Like she said, she will put her information into the chat, and we will certainly share all the questions with Rebecca after the webinar. Rebecca, we appreciate you taking your time to be with us today. And I know you've got to get off to go to your next meeting. So whenever you need to, just go ahead and hop off. Okay. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you all allowing me to tell you about the program.
Glad you were able to be here. Thank you.
Thank
Okay. So now we are going to move into our discussion or our panel. And I am going to, I finally learned how to spotlight correctly so that we can have our panelists on the screen during our discussion. So I want to welcome our panel guest today, and I will tell you all, you talk about a lot of experience on this call. We have a lot of experience, and it makes my CTE heart happy that everybody here has a background in career technical education. We were talking prior to that three of us have business education backgrounds, and then we have two family and consumer science. So shout out to those CTE teachers. But anyway, want to introduce our guests, and I'm going to give you just a little bit of background information about each one of them, and then we will move into our questions. Again, if you have questions at any time during the session, drop those in the chat. If we don't get them answered immediately, we will get answers for you. We hope to have some Q&A time at the end, but we will certainly get answers to any questions that you have. So first, I'd like to introduce Miss Laura Carter, and she is a graduate of Allen County Scottsville High. She received her BS in Business Education, her Master's in Secondary Counseling, and rank 1 in Elementary Counseling from WKU. Prior to teaching, she worked in human resources at the corporate office at Sumitomo Electric Wiring Systems. She spent 17 years as a business teacher and FBLA sponsor at Allen County Career and Technical Center. She served as college and career counselor of Allen County Scottsville High and Allen County Career and Technical Center. And currently, she is the P3 career counselor for Allen County Scottsville. She's worked hard to ensure that all students are prepared for their next steps after high school, whether it is college, workforce, or the military. Sandra Hancock is the student transition coordinator for Christian County Public Schools. She began her career also as a business education teacher in 1997 and spent the majority of her career in career and technical education. In addition to teaching business, she has served as the dual credit coordinator, our dual credit instructor, college and career coach, just to name a couple of those roles. In her current role, Sandra is vital in the district's efforts to ensure students successfully transition through each level of school and graduate high school with the credentials, educational background, and work ethic needed to be successful in their post-secondary endeavors. She coordinates efforts between the schools, the local businesses, and post-secondary institutions to provide better opportunities for Christian County Public School students to graduate, college, and/or career ready. And last but not least is Leslie Slaughter, and Leslie is the Director of Transition, Workforce, and Innovation for Christian County Public Schools. Throughout her 20-year career, she has served as a classroom CTE teacher, state supervisor for Family and Consumer Sciences Education, policy advisor for the KDE Office of Career and Technical Education, executive director of the Kentucky Board of Education as a senior fellow for P12 policy and programs at the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education. Her experience has allowed her to lead transformational work related to college and career readiness, accountability, seamless career pathway development, early post-secondary opportunities, state and federal funding, and more. She's a fierce advocate for students and the importance of P12 career exploration. So like I said, you all, we have a lot of experience and three folks here that are such advocates for our students. So excited to hear what they are going to share with us today. I'm going to start with a question for Leslie. And Leslie, I know Spencer County has a program that is called Kentuckiana, or a program with Kentuckiana Works called After the Tassel. And this program targets seniors with no clear post-secondary plan. Can you share your approach for utilizing this program?
Yes, good morning. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I think some Henry County folks are on the call and they're also a part of this work. So shout out to our neighbors. So Kentuckiana Works is our workforce investment board regionally. So they serve Jefferson County and obviously Louisville Metro, as well as the surrounding districts like Spencer, Henry, Shelby, Oldham, Bullitt, as well as a few southern Indiana areas as well. And so this is a project that they receive funding for from the General Assembly during this biennial budget. So this is year one and it will bleed over into year two next school year as well. It's branded as After the Tassel. And again, as you said, Mitzi, it's aimed at helping students who do not have a plan at this time to directly enter into college or post-secondary education and training. So it is targeting a small select senior cohort of students. The goal is about 40 students a year. We're not quite there in Spencer. I don't know about Henry, but this program really just is now kind of operationally getting on its feet. It took the first semester to kind of get contracts and all that kind of stuff going, as you guys know how that world works. So the beauty of the program is that there are staff that are available to come and assist me and folks at the school level, at the high school level, with targeted career counseling, exploration activities, industry tours and job shadows, those kinds of things, employer engagement opportunities. Again, just really targeting our supports to help our students find meaningful employment when they leave. So again, these are students that are not intending to directly enroll in college or post-secondary of any kind. That does not mean that they will not eventually, but they do not have plans at this time to directly go into post-secondary. So the goal is to find them meaningful employment with at least $15 an hour wages plus benefits. So Spencer County wrote a proposal to use the funds for a number of purposes. Number one, we are using the funds for wages. We are hiring students for internships and co-ops, both internally across the district as well as externally. So we know that the opportunities that these particular students in the cohort are taking advantage of hopefully will lead to full-time opportunities when they graduate if they want to take advantage of those opportunities. We are also using the funds again for some experiential learning. So shadow visits, field trips, industry tours, those kinds of things in targeted sectors. We're blessed. We're a rural community, but we are very close to some very large metropolitan areas. And so we have a lot of advanced manufacturing in this area. We have a ton of healthcare opportunities. So we're able to kind of get them in and shadow and see a lot of things and experience a lot of things through that. So this funding is helping us do that as well. We are also a district that is utilizing the Paxton Patterson career exploration modules at our middle school. We have fallen in love with what those modules are doing for our students and how it has transformed our middle school career exploration. And so they do have high school modules in the skilled trades as well as health science. And we are going to use a small portion of those funds to support some expansion of those skilled trade modules at our alternative school. Some of the students that we are targeting and serving through this grant is a transient student population that has some short-term and even long-term placements at our alternative school, and probably not unique to Spencer County. I think my heart bleeds for kids who have pathway opportunities and then are alternatively placed somewhere and lose those opportunities temporarily. And this is a way to kind of fill some of those gaps and also expose them to some other high demand career opportunities that maybe they aren't aware of or haven't taken advantage of through our area technology center. So again, I think the expertise of the After the Tassel staff is really critical in this work, just having extra hands on deck to support the one-on-one advising that we're doing with students. They're coming in on a weekly basis and meeting with this cohort. We're doing everything from resume writing to mock interviews, ILP work, you name it. And then they're also helping us to work on partnership expansion. So again, the expertise of your workforce investment board being able to sit down with you and look at your CTE advisory committees and look at where you have gaps in partnership opportunities and help us kind of fill those has been a real asset to the program. So again, we're just in the beginning of this work and it will bleed over into our senior cohort again next year. So we'll have a new group of students next year that will be served through this partnership with Kentucky and It Works as well.
Thank you, Leslie. There is a question in the chat about the career pathway module, if you want to answer that. And, as you were talking, it made me think about, not all students, and we know this, are going to college or going to earn a post-secondary credential. And that's why those pathway options and earning those industry certifications while in high school are so important. And like you said, it doesn't mean that they'll never go to college, but right now that's not in their plan. And we know that there are many different paths that students can take, and there are many on and off ramps to getting to a student's final destination when they're thinking about their post-secondary plans. So being able to support them and helping them be ready for that next step, regardless of what it is what is so important. So I appreciate the information about that program. And I'm going to move into another question here for Laura. And Laura, you're with Allen County, Scottsville, and you've always been very intentional in meeting with students about post-secondary plans and knowing what every one of your students was planning to do after high school graduation. So how do you approach supporting students in being prepared for life after high school? I know you, in our conversation, specifically mentioned your approach to college tours and industry tours and adulting 101 seminars. So can you tell us a little bit about how you do the things that you do?
Yes. Thank you so much for having us. And that sounds amazing, Leslie, what all you all are doing at your district. Here at Allen County, previously I had always done one-on-one with seniors. I was very intentional, making sure they had all their classes they needed to graduate. Then when we would talk about college, applying for college, making sure they did get applied, taking the ACT more than once, if they were going military, taking the ASVAB, and just seeing what their plans were for when they graduated and making sure hopefully they followed through, once they graduated. This year, my role's been a little bit different. My job changed just a tad. I am now meeting with all students one-on-one, basically doing the same thing. It seems to be going very well. The students and I both get something out of all the meetings, but it's just very intentional, making sure they have all the classes lined up, sharing all the pathways that we have, finding out what their interests are, and trying to pair their pathways with what they're wanting to do, and telling them about different options they might have for when they graduate, the different colleges we have around, different businesses, and of course the military military that we have as well.
Is Andrew Mills Big Country?
Okay. And then with our seniors, we have senior meetings like in August, September. That's where we sit down with the seniors and we make sure they know every date that's going to be coming up. We talk to them about ACT. We talk to them about scholarships, just anything that might need to be aware of for senior year to make sure that they don't miss any deadlines as they're going through, whether they're going college route, workforce, or military. We turn around and do the same thing for the parents and have a parent night to make sure that they are also getting the information that we told the seniors, make sure they have access to all the information. And of course, we're always readily available to answer any questions and share the information on social media, Google Classroom, email, and all that. We used to do 2 to 4 sessions of Adulting 101 throughout the year. And this is just to get seniors ready for day-to-day things that they might encounter once they graduate. We like to prepare them for, the workforce, college, military, but also real world things. And we would have different sessions such as how to fill out a checkbook. Because yes, even though they should be getting that in high school, until this financial literacy came through, a lot of our students didn't know how to fill out a checkbook. Even our AP students did not. We talk about resumes, job applications, interviews, self-defense, etiquette, like etiquette if you're in a workplace, etiquette if you go out to eat with someone, like a business dinner, changing the oil, exercising, because they need to exercise whenever they leave, and then basic cooking things that they needed to know as well. So we did about 2 or 4 of those sessions a year. That was previous, our administration. We haven't been doing it lately, but the kids loved it. It was hard to put together, but the end result was amazing to see their eyes open up with what all they learned. A lot of our girls don't get to take the auto classes, and just, them kind to have a, how do you change the tire, or how do you change oil? That was very eye-opening and very much needed for them. One of the big things that I really like is going on the college visits. Taking the students that don't have the opportunity with their parents to be able to go visit colleges, setting up, we try to tour as many colleges within the state of Kentucky that we could. So setting up those visits, planning them, sometimes just getting them out. They saw when we went to UK in Georgetown, we saw the castle. It's where we actually stopped by the Kentucky Castle. That was so amazing for our students to get to see that, explore, getting outside of Allen County. So the college visits to where they can go, there's nothing like seeing a campus in person. They may think they want to go somewhere, but until they see it and see how big or how small, or if it feels like home to them, they're never gonna know, and they may not ever make that next step. But something I really, really like is we started doing college visits, but also pairing it with like a business pathway. So in the fall, I would do college visits, but in the spring, I'd be very intentional with our pathways we have here. And I would pair it, like we would go visit Sky CTC for auto, and then we would go to a large auto, a small auto corporation, and just see what it's like to actually work there once you got out of college or out of high school. Cosmetology, we don't have a cosmetology pathway here, but a lot of our young ladies and men do like to go on to cosmetology. So we set it up to where we went and toured 3 different colleges within the area. went to see them, and then we went to go see a larger salon, a small salon, a salon just owned by one person, and then showed them how their booths are set up, and that was very eye-opening for those. And we try to do that with each one of the pathways that we had here. So I loved doing those. And then we follow up in March. We have a career fair the same day that our juniors take the ACT. We have a career fair, but it's not just a career fair. We do rotations with our seniors while the juniors are taking the ACT. And the juniors go, one rotation is where they do their ILP and their grad defense. They just get it ready. The second rotation is where we have guest panelists from ACSHS alumni that are doing well in different pathways, and we have them come back and ask them questions similar to what we're doing here. And then we have the actual career fair where we're intentional on inviting the businesses to come through and set up to where they'll talk to our students. After the career fair, we follow that up with a hiring fair, and we're very intentional with that too. We want businesses to come in. They're actually hiring for our students that are especially going straight into the workforce. Even the ones that are going to college, some of them do need full-time jobs. So we set it up to make sure we're inviting people, businesses with welding, industrial maintenance, auto, even our medical. Even though a lot of our medical kids are going on to college, many of them do get jobs while they're in college, and making that connection with them. And most of these places are paying $18 to plus an hour. So a lot of our teachers is walking through, they're taking notes too. So that's nice. So that's a lot of the stuff that we do here. I know we're going to talk possibly about signing day as well. But that's a lot of what we do at Allen County to make sure we're very intentional, making sure our students have plans not only for college, but career and military, because we're very proud of all of our students when they leave, but we want to make sure they have a path when they graduate.
Thank you, Laura. And I love it. I love all the intentionality and the fact that you're supporting all the students, and really like how you take them on a college visit and then you actually take them to an industry and show them the firsthand what it's like to work in that industry in varying capacities and varying sizes. So love it. We will come back to you all here in just a minute, but I want to move on. And again, if you have questions, please drop those in the chat. But I want to move on and ask Sandra a question. And again, we've tried to come up with 3 different approaches to supporting students when we thought about how can you support the send-off. There's lots of things going on across the state that are great. These ladies are 3 examples, and they're great examples. Christian County Public Schools is working to be intentional with career pathways and provide opportunities for students to earn a post-secondary credential while in high school, or at the very least, take advantage of CTE dual credit opportunities. So Sandra, I want you to talk to us a little bit about how you intentionally use the program of studies to align student opportunities from secondary to post-secondary.
Thank you, Mitzi, for having us today. I'm a regular on these webinars, and I always take something away from them every month. So I appreciate the Kentucky Advising Academy for sponsoring these webinars. Good morning. We have traditionally in Christian County had a longstanding positive partnership with Hopkinsville Community College and also Murray State University. We have traditionally sent students to Murray State for dual credit, specifically in agriculture. And in the last, I would say 4 years, we've added dual credit in the teaching and learning pathway. And then for Hopkinsville Community College, because it is right out our back door, we have utilized Hopkinsville Community College for the more of the core content elective type of dual credit opportunities. But as we are trying to be more intentional on how we schedule our students in dual credit, we are really trying to find out why students are taking dual credit, and trying to encourage them to make sure that the decisions that they make, especially with core content in their electives, are going to align with whatever post-secondary goals that they have in place, whether that is going to a technical college, staying at Hopkinsville Community College, or going on to a four-year institution. We've done a pretty good job with our core content and elective areas per se, but where we were really lacking is having dual credit that aligns with our career and technical education courses. And so several years ago, in order to submit applications for Perkins funding, districts had to put together a program of study for each of their CTE program areas. And it's basically a crosswalk between high school and post-secondary, whether that's a 2-year, 4-year on or beyond program of study. But if I could be honest with you, many people, many organizations put these in place to check the box. I've met that requirement for Perkins funding, and no one ever saw the documents again. Well, I'm not one that really likes the check the box method. So we decided that we were going to really try to make these documents come to life. If nothing else, to at least pull the CTE pieces out and try to come up with advising documents for our high school students. And as they look toward what dual credit opportunities I can take for the CTE pathways. What we realized in doing this with Hopkinsville Community College is it not only opened the door of CTE dual credit opportunities for our students, but it also opened the door for those students that may not want to go to a 2-year or 4-year institution. They may want to just get a certificate or diploma after high school. And that is an awesome win for those high school students that had no intentions of going off to a post-secondary institution. Because, for example, with our ag dual credit options that we have developed with Hopkinsville Community College, for those students that are planning on pursuing like an agricultural technology certificate, they can earn that in high school and walk across the stage during Hopkinsville Community College's graduation, their senior year, and get a certificate that they now can put on an application or a resume as they search for employment after high school. So that was, we felt like that was a win, and it opened more doors for our students, for more of our students. And we also have situations where we have identified career and technical education courses for those students that are moving into an associate degree or even going on to a 4-year institution. So we are in the beginning stages. We have created advising documents for agriculture technology, for general business, and we also have a healthcare Rotary Impact program and our teaching and learning with Hopkinsville Community College. We have expanded our programs with Murray State University as well. We are trying to encourage those students that are wanting to go to a 4-year institution that direction, whether they stay at Murray State or go on to a 4-year institution. We're trying to increase our partnerships with both areas. But one thing too to keep in mind is that CTE changed their funding. I think this current year is our first full year of the new CTE supplemental funding. And with that, there are CTE incentives that 40% of that funding, students, it's based on student achievement in 4 areas. And one of those areas is, did the student take a CTE dual credit class and earn at least a C? So not only are we are helping our students, but we are also helping the funding that we will receive in our district. So it's a win-win situation for us. And if I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have concerning our CTE dual credit pathways.
Thank you, Sandra. I love the intentionality of the program of studies and making that strategic alignment high school to post-secondary, because a lot of times the students and parents don't often understand how what they're doing now can support. It doesn't always, just because you take a CTE pathway doesn't mean you're going to go into that for a career, but you could still earn an industry certification or a general certificate in that area while you're in high school to help in the future with a part-time job while you're working on a different career path. So love all of that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And Mitzi, one other thing, as you mentioned, industry certification, what we have found too in talking with the program area professors and teachers at the community college level, we have also looked at some of the industry certifications that we offer at the high school level. And there are some of those industry certifications that they are considering using as articulated credit to the community college that has yet to be identified. So that's a win as well.
Absolutely, a huge win. So great information. And if you all have questions for Sandra, go ahead and drop those in the chat. Or again, we hope to have some time for Q&A after we just have a couple more questions. This question is for Leslie again. Leslie, I know that you all use your advisory time to enhance your college and career opportunity and help make sure that they're ready for the next step. So can you just tell us how you all are using your advisory time for that?
Yeah, happy to. So we're blessed at Spencer County High School. We have a 30-minute advisory built into our daily schedule. And so that is utilized for a ton of different really worthwhile, meaningful things. In my world, for juniors and seniors, I have a college and career readiness Google site. I have a calendar on that site where I set up small group presentations from colleges, employers, registered apprenticeship programs, those kinds of things, as well as military. As a matter of fact, the Coast Guard is here as we speak. I'm kicked out of my office because there's kids meeting with the Coast Guard right now. So I'm in one of our counselors' offices doing this webinar today. And so that calendar is utilized for students to sign up for those presentations. And that is taken pretty well advantage of by our juniors and seniors to learn more. I think they feel more comfortable in that kind of environment, asking questions and really kind of getting into the nitty gritty of some of those programs and entrance criteria and all that kind of stuff. So that is one way that we utilize that advisory period to support students. Obviously, we do a ton of our ILP work in that time frame daily. We do a lot of FAFSA and scholarship kinds of opportunities, especially for our seniors. Our seniors have a pretty well-defined advisory schedule. So in addition to the things I've already mentioned, they do work on their senior project and their senior defenses during that time. So we're able to give real feedback and coaching on a weekly basis around some of that work. Much like Laura mentioned, we do some adult 101, real life 101 kinds of sessions in the spring semester for our seniors. So we call those senior seminars, and a couple times a week, they can choose from a menu of rotational kinds of workshops, similar to like Laura mentioned. So just trying to kind of help them, be ready for life after high school. They enjoy those a lot. We also utilize the time to do town hall meetings with each of our grade levels. So once a month, we have a town hall with freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. That's going to be a whole class, whole group in the gym kind of conversation. It's a perfect chance for us to bring in guest speakers, bring in resources, throw just-in-time information at them, talk about upcoming events. So that's a great way that we kind of touch base with the entire class once a month. We also utilize the advisory time for certain ACT kinds of prep and practice. We have weekly advising sessions. So each advisory teacher is required each Friday to do a grade check with each student in their advisory group and kind of talk about where things are. And it's a pulse check to kind of make sure that our students who need some intervention or support are being identified. So we do use that time to pull as well if we need to for intervention so that they're not being pulled from any class, core or CTE or any other elective for that matter, that is getting them up and getting them to school every day. We do a lot of, our counselors come in during that time as well and do a lot of mental health and wellness types of workshops. So I could go on for days about how we utilize this time, and we're growing and evolving with new ideas all the time. But I think we do a pretty good job, I think, particularly with our seniors, in utilizing that time very effectively on a weekly basis. We have a calendar, things are pretty well planned each summer. And then we're just adding and growing things as we see the need. So in my world, it's a way that I can really support our seniors before they leave in whatever their transition plans really are.
Thank you, Leslie, and lots of great information again shared. And I know you're happy to answer any questions, or I'm sure if people would like more detailed information, you would be happy to share with them some examples. So again, if you have questions, drop them in the chat. Last question, and then we'll have a little Q&A time, and then I will share with you how you can get your ELA certificate for the day. But Laura, this question is for you. And you talked about your intentionality with advising and helping students find their, their career path as they're leaving your school, whether that be going to college or going into the workforce or military. So I know you culminate all of this work with a signing day. So tell us a little bit about how you approach the signing day, the process that you use. Do you bring all your students to the gym for this, or just kind of give us the ins and outs of it?
Okay, well, we had always seen how the sports students sign with a college, and of course, love to see them going on and future in their careers and whatever sport it is. And then I found out that some schools were doing this as well, but for all of their seniors, not just the ones going on to sports. And I was like, wow, we want to recognize all of our students, our seniors that are planning on going on, whether it's college, whether it's workforce, or whether it's military. So we start promoting it to our seniors in the spring and just letting them know, hey, we're going to be doing the signing day. We make it a very special day for you all. It's in our auditorium. We have invited parents, guardians once before. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how we want to go about that. My family, if I have one of my children, we bring about 7 or 8. We have so many parents, grandparents that want to come see their student, go through. So we're having to limit that because our auditorium is not, it's big, but it's not big enough to have 200 seniors times 8. Same thing with the students' body. We may have some classes come in and watch, but not everybody. So I would love to see that grow, but I don't know how to do that in our auditorium, and the auditorium makes it intimate. Whereas if we did it in the gym, it wouldn't be as intimate, but you could do it in there. But what we do, and I think Mitzi might share some pictures with you all later on, we set up the stage. We set out outside the auditorium to make it very inviting. Balloon arches, tables, our banners set up. And there's all kinds of little activities outside of our auditorium where they can do props afterwards with Instagram, whatever it is that they stand behind, and little figures and things. And then that we put them in order by college, alphabetical order by college, and then business, and then military. And we invite any of those representatives to come as well and be on stage with the students as they're recognized. And then alphabetically, we call them up on stage. The stage is set up really nice with balloons, the tablecloth. They have a certificate where they're actually signing the certificate and they're taking it with them. But they call them up on stage, they sit down. Behind the stage, there's a PowerPoint that the screen drops down, and their names on the PowerPoint along with where they're planning to go. If it's our biggest colleges around here are Western and Scott CTC, so we may call 4 or 5 up there at a time if it's a group. Otherwise, it just might be 1 or 2 at a time. But the seniors, they're very hesitant to do it at the beginning because they haven't been able to see it in years past because we can't invite the student body. So they're hesitant to do that. But once they do, and I have to be adjusting, I've learned to do a Google PowerPoint because seniors are like, oh, I want to do this, like in the middle. And so I'm having to add in, if I'm able to add them in. Oh, my person's not here, but I want to go up on stage too. So then they see how rewarding it is to actually get up on stage, be recognized. And if they're doing, like, some of our kids are doing college, military, and workforce, I'll recognize all three of them. I'm proud of our seniors, and I want every single one of them to have a plan when they leave here, and for us to be able to recognize them for all of their accomplishments. And then we also add in if they've had any industry certifications, and if they pass an EOP COSA test, anything we can add, if they're college and career ready, we put all of that in their little verbiage whenever they're on stage. So anything that they've received while they're been in high school that's towards that college career, we want to make sure and recognize that as well, because they may never have any other time where they're kind of pointed out, hey, this kid did all of this while they were in high school. Let's see, I'm trying to remember if we really try to promote it, and we love whenever the community members from the colleges, businesses, and military can come as well. That makes it even more special for the students as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Lots of great information. I love the signing day and celebrating all the accomplishments of the students. Again, I always loved the athletic signings too, but it is really neat to see all those students, regardless of their career paths, be recognized. I am going to attempt to share my screen again, so you all please let me know. I'm going to drop a couple of things in the chat as we are finishing up here. We are hosting a webinar, and I do want to give you time for questions. But I am going to drop these into the chat really quickly, and then we'll finish up by allowing you to ask questions. We do have a webinar coming up in April, and I'm dropping the link into the chat for you to register for that webinar. And we will be talking in April about Futurity. It's the newly launched career exploration website. Lots of great information. It is very specific to Kentucky. All the data is Kentucky specific. It can help support your school's ILP completion efforts. It is not designed where you have to use it. Lots of you all use paid platforms, and we're not saying don't use those. We're just saying this can help support you in using those platforms or completing if you don't have a platform and you're looking for something to use. It is aligned to the Kentucky Advising Framework, and we will be talking about all of those things coming up. I also want to share my contact information there if you want that. And I will say that I will send this slide deck, Rebecca's slide deck, Laura's information, anything else out today to all those that registered and attended. So if you can't capture something today that you wanted to, you will have the opportunity later. We do ask that you take a moment to complete the evaluation. First of all, this is how you will receive your ELA certificate, but more importantly, this is a way for us to gauge the offerings that we provide and make sure that we are actually doing the things that you all need. So if you would take a few moments to do that, we would certainly appreciate it. Very simple evaluation. And like I said, that is how you will get your ELA certificate. So as I leave that evaluation QR code on the screen, and let me go ahead and drop it in the chat as well for those of you who maybe can't access it that way. If I can get my computer to cooperate. I'm dropping it in the chat, so the link will be there for you. Either scan the QR code or click the link in the chat. But as we are doing that, I want to give you all an opportunity to ask questions. We have about 6 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions for our panelists, please unmute or drop those questions in the chat. We would certainly love to get those answered. Anything? Well, I know it is a super busy time for school folks. March was always hard. Lots of things going on. Kids are getting spring fever. Teachers are getting spring fever. Spring break is coming up, so there is a light at the end of the tunnel, right? I do hope that you all have a great spring break coming up whenever yours is. And I certainly hope that you all will join us in April for our webinar. And always reach out to us if you have not signed up to receive our email distribution or email offerings. Please do that. I'm going to drop that into the chat as well so that you can sign up for our Gov Delivery email address, as well as get our X, Facebook, and all of that information so that you can follow and like us on social media. I'm going to stop screen sharing for just a second so that I can see my chat and drop that in. Any other questions or comments? Panel guests, do you all have anything else? We do have 5 minutes. If you have something that you didn't get to share that you would like to share, because I know you all talked fast and shared a lot of information. If not, I'm not going to prolong this, because 5 minutes is 5 minutes. That's time for you all to maybe grab a cup of coffee or something before you move on to your next task. We certainly appreciate you being here. Thank you, Sandra, Leslie, and Laura, for sharing such great information. And thank you all who attended. Like Sandra, I always learn so much during these webinars. So I'm glad to see you all and look forward to seeing you again in April. You all have a fabulous day.
Thanks, Mitzi.
Thanks, Mitzi.